welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Lazlo.
Welcome to another episode with Meet the Author, which, oh my God, again, I will say right off the bat, every time it is an honor, a privilege to have an author reach out. I just want to introduce Ricardo Cotto.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name's Ricardo Cotto. So I am a debut author. Actually, I show these ladies my book. It's called The Dancing Wolfeman, and it's under my pen name, Rick London. So,
Rick London.
yeah, and it's a romantasy. It's a Wolfman story with a twist, which I will get into with you.
So first of all, just the fact that let's just get through this right off the bat. A man in romantasy, you're already throwing out the green flags for me. Already be like, okay, yes, I'll read this. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, on top of that, like a werewolf story, that's going to go really well.
Well, you know, I was asked that in another podcast, like, why romance? It's like, you know, I'm happily married for 16 years. I love my wife. And, you know, what would be the point of telling a story of a werewolf if he has nobody to share that with, you know? And then, you know, that relationship is central to the story, you know, the relationship that he builds, people that he saves. And, you know, and also I put in the story where he saves her. And of course, she saves him back, you know. So it's not just him. It's not just him being the central figure of the story. You know, it's everybody has their big part that they contribute to it. Yep.
Oh my God. Sorry. That's like, first of all, gives us hope that a 16-year-old long marriage.
It's possible.
It's possible. Yeah.
It is possible. Yeah. So before we get into it, I just want to let the audience know we are explicit. We are going to cuss very happily in this. So just want to let you go for little listening ears.
Watch out for that. Let's just jump right in. So, your book, The Dancing Wolfeman.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just go into it and tell us what this book is about and why specifically you chose the Wolfman narrative?
So, may I give you the background of how I came up with it?
Of course.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
Of course.
So, Super Bowl Sunday, 1998, I went to go to a real close friend of mine, January 25th, 1998. And it's, do you ladies know the Bay Area? San Francisco Bay Area a little bit?
I do a little bit.
Okay. So out in the, you know, there's the East Bay, and I was living down in Fremont, and to get to my friend's house who lived in Oakley, I had to take the 680 North, 580 East, and then get off at the very last exit, a little more, it's called North Basco Road. And when I got off and I drove, it was, you know, during the day, and I got up there, it's a beautiful drive, rolling hills. It was real green because of the rain, and a cow almost came up to my car, you know. And then I went to my friend. We watched a great Super Bowl, and then on the way back, driving, and you know, it looks like I'm pretty much the only car on the road, and it's low cloud cover, and it's kind of foggy, real eerie. Reminded me of a scene in the beginning scene of a movie called An American Werewolf in London. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh.
It's a great movie, right?
Yes.
It's very gory and violent, but it's my favorite werewolf movie. I love it. And so it reminded me of that, right? And then that memory stayed in my head. So a year ago, this past December, I was hanging out with some friends on a Friday night, and we were talking about old friends, and that memory came back to me. And then as I said goodbye to my friends, I get in my car and I drive, and then that thought stuck with me, right? And then my imagination started going while I'm driving. It's like, what if a Wolfman came out? You know what I mean? I was thinking, you know, it looked like the Wolfman, the Moors, right? What would I say to the Wolfman, right? So that thought stuck with me, right? I guess it was my calling, right? I consider that's the first process of my call. It just stayed with me, and so it stayed with me, and I'm like, I got to do something with this, and at first, I wanted to create hyper-realistic videos to put on YouTube and create little short videos depicting every chapter, you know, or part of the story. But I'm not skilled in that, and I didn't want to hire anyone. I wanted to try it on my own using AI and ChatGPT's guidance, but I couldn't get it to work. So then I switched gears and I came up with like, hey, create a book, right? I could create a book on that. So I told my wife that, and my wife initially was like, a werewolf story? I'm like, yeah. I go, but it's going to be different. He's going to be a savior and not a brutal killer. So I had to find a gimmick to make it work where he's not going to be a killer. He's going to be a savior. So at that time, my 16-year-old son, his best friend, was in a band class, and he's taking a trombone. So my son decided, I'm going to try it because, it's his friend, right? So he brought the case home, his trombone case, and he kept it, if you can see right behind me, he kept it along that far wall there. And so I'm trying to come up with an idea, and I keep looking at the case every day. I'm like, bingo, music, right? We're getting thunderstorms here. So if you hear something, we're getting some serious thunderstorms right now.
Oh,
anyhow, yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So if you hear any rumbling, and it's not me, it's not my stomach, it's outside.
That's
It's
all
all
right.
good.
I had a windstorm.
I didn't eat some bad fried chicken. You know what I'm saying? So
We had our own floods here, so.
Oh, where are you ladies at?
I'm out of LA right now.
Oh, I hear LA's getting hammered right now, right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And I'm in Colorado right now.
Oh,
We've got windstorms.
Oh, yeah, it's
Blizzard.
brutal there. It's brutal there.
Blizzards, yeah.
It's brutal. So my apologies. I'll continue on.
No.
And then so, I looked at the case and came up with music, and then I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And I'm like, and I love music, right? I love all music.
Us too.
I'm not particular to any type. I grew up in the '70s. I love '70s funk, '70s '80s funk. I love R&B. I love rock. I love everything. And so I told my wife, I go, hey, I'm gonna use music as the driving force behind him to make him who he is, So I came up with it. I'm like, okay. I always loved my teachers when I was in high school. So, and I respect teachers. And then Lazlo, my son Lazlo, talking about his teachers, music teachers. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make my werewolf. I'm gonna make my guy's name Titus. Titus Wolf is a high school music teacher by day, DJ by night. And, music is embedded in his DNA and his soul since he was, a baby. His father, and I wrote it in the book too. His father's a sound engineer, and his mother worked as at a record shop.
Mm-hmm.
So they were playing music every day. They played something. So he grew up around music and everything. So right before he turned into his first transformation after getting bit, he knew it was going to be bad, and he's like. And he thinks to himself, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I hope, and he's thinking about music. I hope some way music saves me, right? So he goes out to the woods. He goes out to these woods, and it's set in Marin County. He goes out to the woods so he doesn't get seen or by anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to keep this he wants to keep it as secret as much as possible. So he goes out in the woods, and after he turns into Wolfman, he can't control himself. He's a werewolf, just like any other werewolf. And he's in the woods, and there's this lady jogging, and she loves jogging at night, and she's got her iPods on, right? And right before he attacks her, because his senses are heightened, he hears music in her iPods, and that music, that noise, transforms his consciousness back into his human self while he's a wolf. Because he's a high moral guy and he's never killed anybody, he just looks in surprise and runs the other way. And so that's the first transformation, and each one gets better and better. And he comes back in the second transformation because he's smitten by her, and instead of and something happens, which I can't tell you. You're gonna have to read the book to the audience.
Right.
Read that second transformation is where he saves her. And that's it. So that's who he becomes. He becomes a savior, and then later on he has to grasp the reality of what of what's happened to him. That he becomes a werewolf during the full moon, and what's that going to do to him, and how's he going to handle that? And so there you are. There's where my story came from. A werewolf story with a twist. I wanted something different, because if you read all the werewolf stories, they're all the same, right? Basically, all the same. Turn into a werewolf. They start killing and mutilating their victims, and then they get hunted and they get killed. And I didn't want that to happen to my guy. I wanted him to live and to find his love interest, and then and make friends with the people that he saves, and they become his allies. So there you go.
I mean, definitely, first of all, I love that concept.
Thank you.
I mean, we never really see the monsters as the main characters, first of all.
Yeah.
And then, also, you're speaking to me and Tabi, we're musicians. She's an actor, and we're both singers, and music has such a way of reaching people in every sort of way. It's like the universal language. So I absolutely love that you included music as such an important thing in your story.
And especially, well, first of all, can I just say, when you said high school music teacher, I was just like, hot, okay. I can fall in love with that For sure.
And on top of a werewolf?
Yeah. And he's a DJ at night. He's a DJ. Yeah, DJ Wolfman.
So it's just like you just make it better and better. Like I do want to appreciate though how you said about teachers, because obviously I'm assuming there's going to be some, I don't know, commentary about teachers in the book in that sense, and how much they matter. At least for me, that was like a big turning point in my life, is there were so many, my acting teacher and my music teachers were like, it's especially since I'm from the Midwest, it's not something that's very funded.
Mm-hmm.
And so having those teachers, even though under like extreme circumstances of like not getting paid or made me feel less, I don't know, made me feel more seen and more connected to the world than any math history class
Yeah.
would have.
I mean,
So
I will say I have had one good math teacher, but I agree with that, because I myself, I'm a music major, and I was originally going into music education when I started my academic career. But like I've worked as a music teacher before, and like I know that the impact that I as a teacher can have on students, taking from my own experience from my music teachers. So I just love that connection. It's like almost like a legacy going down.
Well, the whole thing, there was a lot behind that too. It's like, I appreciate teachers. Without them, we wouldn't be the people we are, right? And then the work, because the work, and that's a labor of love, right? Teaching. And I threw that in there because I also wanted my book to appeal to that demographic, right? Teachers, because they're so important. And in my book, I write a chapter of he's reminiscing, going back to his history of how he became a teacher, and he could have went in other directions and made more money, but because he loves teaching, growing up, that's what he stuck with. But he's also gifted musically, so that's why he became a music teacher and a DJ and all that. And and then I used all that the music is his saving grace. That's what saves him. And it's funny. The trombone case is what I kept seeing, but that old saying kept coming up. Music calms the savage beast. So here I have, I have one of the most vicious monsters of all time. In book lore, right? And how am I going to make him different? So music. There you go.
It's interesting. Like, there's one more thing I wanted to say about that is there was like a written spoken word. It was teachers should make as much as doctors, because a doctor can save the life of, or like the heart of a child, but a great teacher can reach the heart of that child and make
mold that child, right? Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, that is really big. Also, it's maybe this kind of leads into the next question, but especially with werewolf lore. It's interesting because in our world, and I guess in me and Liesel's book talk romantasy world, right, there's a lot of different werewolf stories. This one seems very separated than that in a very cool, interesting way. Because a lot of the time it's all about alphas, omegas, like a pack mentality, versus like the old classic werewolf tale of like the lone wolf trying to figure out by himself. So I guess that kind of leads into the next question, like, what inspired this story, and why did you choose, I guess? I mean, you kind of answered that already, but like choosing the wolf-man dynamic more so than like the pack dynamic.
Well, what inspired me is that drive on that road going home. It was so eerie and beautiful. And I'm like, and it just reminded me of that movie, and I'm like, and it's like, and I'm not a horror guy. I'm not a big horror guy, but I love Wolfman stories. And to me, it's like, like I said, that thought just stuck with me, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So it's like, it's like, hey, I had to turn this guy into something different. Then I had to throw romance in there, because you got to have a romance story.
You got to have romance.
Because what's the point of him, what's the point of him, becoming a wolfman if he doesn't have anyone to share it with, and then, and people to save him, because he saves people and they also come back and save him. So it's a collaborative, you know what I mean? He doesn't survive without his friends, without his love. It's a tale of all these characters,
You're such a green flag man. I'm not going to say that just enough. It's like, because I tell this to Liesel all the time. I cannot have a story without some sort of romance. It doesn't need to be like super sexual. It doesn't need to be like, I'm not going to lie to you. the lot of stuff that there's like dark mafia romance, dark romantasy, like that is a whole genre that, and I'm not saying that you don't know about that, but like, again, it doesn't need to be that extreme. But
no, I agree. I'm not a kiss and tell guy. I don't get all explicit. I don't get it. And I heard you guys on your podcast this morning about when women write about sex, in the books, they get very detailed. And I've appreciate those books. I've read books with women who wrote about it. I had this one book many years ago. I wrote this lady wrote, man, my God, she went deep into all the sex scenes. I was like, am I reading porno without the porno? You know what I mean? It was funny, but and guys tend to keep it. I don't know if guys, in your experience, if guys tend to keep it a little more conservative or just not elaborate on the. So I just kept it. To me, it's the romance part. Not so much the sex is fine, but I kept it with the romance and their connection and their development. My girl, I named her Nicole Santoro. My girl, she's a badass. You know what I mean? He saves her and she saves him. She's a badass.
This is literally like all the green flags.
Yeah.
If you're asking this, though, just because kind of like a back and forth, I think it's an interesting thing, Cardo, because there's like, you can kind of tell what's written by a man and what's written by a woman. Mm-hmm. Not saying it in any sexist way, because there are some men who can write a raunchy sex scene.
Oh, yeah.
But it's almost... It's like, sometimes it's dependent on the parts. What are we focusing on? And I can know what's written by a man.
That's true. That's very true.
Because there's also women also, even though they're maybe saying it like it's a very long scene, it's very flowery in these books sometimes. Sometimes it can be very raunchy, but sometimes it's just very flowery, and that's written by a woman.
Yeah.
I've never seen a man write like this. So,
I mean, something I do want to add in is when we first saw your email, we were super excited because we just love that there are male authors who are dipping their toes into this sort of romantasy sort of sense. Because, like we were kind of mentioning, we see a lot of female authors and, they're, to be fair, writing a lot of sex, part of the romance. But it's kind of nice to just see a male author like who can take us for a different spin on the same sort of topic.
Yeah. Well, to me, love is a fantasy because you look at it, it's like you dream of being with like the perfect woman or the woman dreams or whatever, whoever your mate is. And, it's a fantasy, you know what I mean? It's like, it's something you don't have yet, you have to work to get it. And then when you get there, you're like, yeah, I'm living the dream. You know what I mean? I'm living the dream as like, and so I love fantasies. I grew up reading sci-fi and fantasies, to escape out of my head. And, if I was single, this book probably would have been different because I've been married for 16 years and I have that experience. And also, it's like one of my favorite movies is Aliens, Sigourney Weaver.
Got it.
I love female heroes, It's like, it's not just about the guys, you know what I mean? I'm a guy, but it's
badass
like
badass women.
Yeah, I love badass women, we wouldn't be, honestly, I wouldn't be the same person if it wasn't for my wife, so. In her honor, I had to put in Nicole in there. I had to put in a badass female. So
you're gonna make me cry on camera. I think you're gonna be the first guest to make me
you're
cry
like
on
saying
camera.
All the right things.
Like, it's not even that. It's just like, especially with Valentine's Day that came up, and as two single women, perpetually single, it's there's a juxtaposition with these books where like sometimes like I'm glad that, and I'm gonna add the aspect of you being a man to this, because there's a lot of the times where men in this space think we're crazy for liking these books, in the sense of like, how do I say that the fantasy is too much, that's like what we're asking for is like, oh, we're asking for some 6'5" wolfman to come out of the woods. Okay. It's not that. It's like it's the rawness of the romance, the relationship, the kind of, I save you, you save me, like you said. And it just gets lost in translation sometimes with men. So it's like, again, thank you for being that way.
Well, my experience is, my wife, we're like opposites, right? But we attract, and it's like, it's all about chemistry, right? So I had to write my book where the chemistry had to be instant, right? There was something there that drove them both in. to come back for that second transformation. He was smitten by her, she was smitten by him, and then they decided, and then then the story takes off from there. And yeah. Central figure had to be a female. Somebody he's gonna love, he has to have something to look forward to.
First of all, I'm excited to read your story now.
I very much yes.
I've already added it to my wish list.
Thank you. And just before you ask, I just want to give this out to the audience. It's only 154 pages. I was going to continue writing, but the very last end of it was in Halloween, and I wanted to get that out to the audience. I wanted people to get introduced to my character. I wanted to make him bigger than life, get that out there, and then look forward to the next book, right? To volume 2. And so
I just volume 2.
Yeah. If you look at the book, it says volume 1. And like I said, my guy's gonna live. It's not the typical Wolfman story where he dies. You know what I mean? He gets shot by a silver bullet. No, he lives. He's got too much to offer the world. You know what I mean? So
and there's romance can't die.
No.
The Wolfman always does die, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And I don't want to break Nicole's heart either. So she's, I want their budding romance to continue. So.
Yeah. So I guess, kind of talking about this romance, would you consider this book to be romance, or what would you classify the genre for this book?
It's funny. I do consider it a romance. It just happens to be a Wolfman tale. Right? Because it's not horror. It's not a horror story because it's not your typical Wolfman story, right? Mm-hmm. So what makes them click, what gives them something to look forward to is that relationship. So yeah, it's a role. And it's funny. I was listening to another podcast. It's like the new word is romantasy. I guess it's been around for a little while. So I've been using that in all my pitches, right? It's like, I wrote a romantasy, right? It's like combined two, and it's like, but like I said earlier, life, certain things that you look for is a fantasy until you make them come true. You put the effort and then make it come true. But yeah, and that's a great question. I love that. Yeah, it's a romance. It's a romance tale thrown in with a werewolf.
We love that. So that's the fantasy part.
Yeah. I think it counts as a romantasy because it would it's not, even though it's set in a modern day context, it's not it's because it has a werewolf or a paranormal esseness to it. That's what makes it the romantasy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's romance and fantasy altogether.
It's a romance fantasy, adventure, thriller, that's all that. So
all that.
And so who would you say is your target demographic?
In my book, I didn't put, I swear too much sometimes. My wife will tell you that. But in my book, the worst word I put in there is shit, right? Shit is the worst word. I don't put F words or anything. Because in a way, I wanted my book to be liked by as many people as possible, as many demographics. I wanted the teachers to like it, right? Because I honor them by making my guy a teacher. Who's also a DJ. I want DJs, people in the music industry, to like my book. It's like, shit, this guy's, he's a music lover, and look, he turns into a Wolfman. So let's check it out. Yeah. I wanted kids to like it. It's anybody. I didn't have anyone in mind, honestly, when I created. I just wanted to create a compelling story that people would love. Because werewolf stories are liked by everybody. It's like kids, older people, it's been around forever, and it appeals to everybody. So I wanted my book, I threw all that into just appeal to the masses, because I love reading, I love stories, I love all kinds of stories. So I wanted to bring something that I could share with everybody.
It's so interesting that you bring that up because it's because we grew up in the younger generation where it was the old classic, the Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolf movies weren't maybe something that, but they did remakes, not of those, but they would make Disney Channel movies. I remember there's a couple of Disney Channel movies. I don't know if anyone in the audience knows, but we're basically remakes of, it was My Baby Sister's a Vampire, or there was another, or even Teen Wolf.
Yeah, Teen Wolf, right?
Perfect example of it was a werewolf thing, and then that one wasn't a pack thing though, because a lot of those pack romances I was talking about before are established packs versus individual werewolves meeting up eventually. But it's those stories still transcend even like, so I could go up to maybe like I want to say trigger myself, a Gen Alpha. I was seeing something the other day that was like 20s old and 22s old, and I was just like, shut up.
I remember when Gen Z was young.
That's nothing. I'm 61. I'm still consider myself young.
Yeah, I was like, I guess so 30's dead. I don't know what you guys are trying to say to me. But it's just interesting how, like, you could even talk to those children even, and they have some werewolf story, some sort of old monster type story that they can relate to, whether or not it's that one in particular.
It definitely was difficult. Well, not difficult, sorry, different for me because I'm Gen Z, so I'm 23, and so I didn't grow up with a lot of those sort of OG fantasy stories and monster stories, but like I always went back and watched old movies.
When you were toddlers, you guys were watching what? No, how old is Twilight? Twilight is the pack ones, right?
That's her for sure.
That's you. You guys were like toddlers, or
Twilight
you guys were in You guys were in kindergarten.
Well, no, I was definitely like maybe 9 or 10 when Twilight came out. The movie, the books were before.
Yeah.
But it didn't like have a big boom, I think, until like the movies came out. That was definitely my teen era, but I definitely wasn't, sorry for the audience, I wasn't like a super twihard person. Like I wasn't like out in the streets fighting bitches. There are videos of videos today of people fighting about that shit. And it's hilarious. But anyway.
It's a cult following. I mean, those people, they lost their minds, you know what I mean? And it's
Jacob,
what was it? Team, I forget. What team? The wolf, and then the other one was the vampire. Oh my god!
Team Edward or Team Jacob?
And then the girl was stuck in the middle, right? She loved one wolf, and then she loved one of the vampires, right? Something like that.
Here, I'll give you like a big Twilight thing. She always loved Edward. She always loved the vampire, but there was at some point where he broke up with her and she was like, oh, I'll go with my second choice. So Jacob was always the second choice and never the first choice. Because as soon as a vampire came back, she was running back into his bed. So she never liked the werewolf. is the problem there.
Poor werewolves. They just get such a bad rap.
That was not me, by the way, Ricardo. I was all for the werewolf.
Lycans get bad rap, don't they? Not in my book. You guys are going to like my guy.
No, for sure. So
I hope my intent with the book was to bring, this character to life and make him bigger than life and somebody that everyone could, love. Is like, man, he's, and at the end when you guys read him, then, you'll find out it's, like there's an old werewolf movie called The Curse of the Werewolf. As you read the movie, you'll find out that he's not cursed, that he's actually blessed. He's blessed with something.
Okay.
He's blessed. He's been gifted by the universe to do something with that.
I love that.
That's amazing. So I guess then, if this is like, again, like you said, a story centered around love, like what tropes? Or like, cause in the book talk world, there is we're teaching you all the Gen Z shit. So in the book talk world, there's a lot about tropes in love, like romance, like friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, like a love triangle or like whatever. So what tropes do you personally like in a romance?
Just the man and the woman, and then I got another central figure in there. It's we're not giving too much away. He's my first. Right. He's my first antagonist, who he saves, and I wrote this killer. I wrote this killer scenario where that whole thing comes about, and and later on in the story, he'll come to love because he's his friend. Because again, I made it where he saves them, they save him. They come to know who he really is and what he's about, and they love him just for the person he is. And then they'll love him when he turns to a wolf because they're going to see that he's something greater than what is visible. He might be a wolf, but he's more than just a wolf man. You know what I mean? And he's somebody that they're going to just, like I said, this is just volume 1. I got plans for the second one, but I just wanted the world to just be introduced to this guy and I can see both of you, like it so far. I almost made you guys cry. That was interesting. Yeah. I like that.
That's what you're aiming for.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you what. Right now, I would never lie to you on. first of all on camera, but also I would never lie about, because I don't know. You remind me of my dad in a lot of ways, like in terms of he's a man I look to for, I don't know, hope that like man exists in like my generation that's caring, that opens doors for women, that just the bare minimum shit.
Chivalry.
Like,
that's OG. You were saying, Lucille, that's OG. I'm OG like that. I hold doors for people. I do the best I can to be a gentleman, and because that's the stuff I saw when I was a kid. So I don't know if that's not around as much anymore. I guess you don't see it as often.
Common, it feels like.
No, because it's also in mainstream media. It's shown in the stuff we read and see. You know what I mean? So
so I guess like Liesl can also answer this, but like I love a good Beauty and the Beast tale. That's not necessarily, how do I say, a trope in the things that I was like talking about, but I like it when there's like a monster character and it's like, I don't know, I get kind of triggered when, I mean, Liesl knows this, when people call Beauty and the Beast, what is it? Like bestiality or something like that. I'll tell you guys what right now. There's like a bigger metaphor to that, the relationship, than just like a pure, because this is kind of what that is. Like it's a wolf man, and like someone could just outright be like, that's bestiality, I don't like that. It's the idea of someone looking past, the outside. And as someone who is a plus size woman who gets judged on her looks a lot, and also like, how do I say, not, again, we're hot girls. I'm not trying to put us down or anything, but I'm just saying, compared to what you were saying of like things in media, we're not the most conventionally attractive women. But it's the idea of someone, a man, woman, looking past that and seeing like the beautiful rose underneath. Right. And that's what I love about the Beauty and the Beast tale, the Shrek tale.
Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah, it's yeah, it's and people. I think people make judgments based on how they grow up, who their parents were. If you have good parents, if you have good parents, to me, a good parent is somebody who teaches their kids to look on the inside of a person, like you're saying, right? Not to look at the shell, right? Because the shell is just that, right? It's what's on the inside that matters. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, we see billboards and everything. Everything's about beauty, and there's too much vanity in the world. It has been for a long time. You know what I mean?
That's an understatement.
The buff guys, the gorgeous women. It's all over Facebook. It's all over Instagram. It's everywhere. You know what I mean? But good people out there, they see beyond that. You know what I mean? They see the person inside. That's what I try to do. So yeah. And that's how I wrote my guy. You know what I mean? And
the guy we want.
Yeah.
Well, and like you just said, more media like that, and like the books that we read and why we promote them so much is because exactly that. It's showing these very green flag, positive relationships where, yeah, they're going through some hardship, but they all have some deeper meaning to it that I think really resonates, at least with me, and resonates with a lot of people. So, yeah.
Glad. No, in my book is, and I consider my story as just one big old metaphor, just a metaphor of a guy, the duality of his life, and what is he going to do with what he's been afflicted with, and how does he handle that, and then how does he handle this new relationship, and but I made him where he's a very high moral guy, I had a like, again, I throw that in the book where he could have done anything with his life other than be a teacher, but because he loves teaching kids, he loves teaching people, and he has a big part in molding young minds, young musicians. To him, that's bigger than anything, and so
it's rewarding.
Yeah, so that's why that's, like I said, that's why I wanted my book to appeal to teachers and music lovers and people who have high moral compass. So
it could totally be a YA, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So moving on to our next question. As a fellow writer, I understand the hardships that can come while writing. So were there any like hardships that you've faced while you were writing this book or while you were trying to publish it?
Great question. So I didn't write the book myself. I went to a ghostwriting agency because I can write emails and a lot of stuff and, paragraphs and essays and all that. Writing a book, to me seemed like I wanted things to be right. So I went to a ghostwriting agency. And the first one I went, they did the first 2-3 chapters. And then, my God, I don't know what happened. My wife believes that they were using an AI program. And so they gave me these questions, and when I did chapter 4, which is a pivotal chapter, they came back with garbage, and it's like, man, that's not what I gave you, because I didn't answer the questions for that chapter. I just gave them an outline of what I wanted. They came back, they kept giving me garbage, and I just gave them like, this is not what I want, and they did it again, and it's like it got me upset. It's like, man, you guys aren't listening to me, So then it didn't work, so I had to let go of them, and then I researched the next one, and then I went to the next one, and I'm not going to give them any names away. And then I went to the next one, because, the people that didn't do a good job for me, hopefully they did a good job for somebody else, But for me, it didn't work out. And so I went to somebody else, and I like how they were organized. They use an app platform to keep me abreast of everything. They outline everything that they're going to do. And for the most part, they delivered. I didn't have to answer questions. I just gave them my outline and bingo. Now, what I did with my book is, I'm not a writer. I've never written anything. It's my debut novel, but and I didn't take any writing classes or anything. But what I did with my book is, after I gave them to the second ghostwriting agency, publisher, every time when they give me that fourth chapter, I'd started going back to my prologue, and I would read from my prologue to each chapter that's given. As it was given, each time I would read it from the beginning to whatever chapter. I had to make sure that the story flowed, right?
Yeah.
And that if I was missing something. And then one of the pivotal moments, I did miss something, and I had to go back and rewrite it. But yeah, that's what I did, and it's like, so I pretty much know my story, inside out, right, from that experience. So that's the only hang-ups I had, was just that. But it's funny, it's like I didn't get stuck in terms of what I needed to come up with. I almost did when I think after the third chapter, I'm like, man, where am I going to go with this? And it just came to me every week. They gave me something, and I'm like, oh, I know what I need to do. And then bingo, it just came. And so the whole process took about like 20 weeks. And then but again, it's only because I wanted to give a first part out and introduce my character, because at the end of my first story, it's set on Halloween night. And so I wanted that to be done and then get that out. And then this year, work on my second manuscript. And we'll see how I do with this one. I don't know if I'm going to I'll probably stay with my current publisher. And we'll see. Or maybe I'll learn how to write it myself. We'll see. You know what I mean? Right? Get a stab at it, right? Because I know how I want it to go. Maybe I'll write it myself, and I'll have somebody edit it for me, right? This is like
Yep. Editors are the best, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, publishing is it's maybe because I'm on the narrator side of things. It's interesting because it's a lot of similar, how do I say, hardships, it's just in a different way and different part of the process. And it's so I get it, trying to get work, but also then trying to go to publishing agencies and being hey, take my work, da da da. And then it's having that process and being either getting brutally stabbed while someone rips apart your manuscript or anything and being this is not good, da da da. On the flip end, giving my audition and being rip it apart. So it's I understand.
I've seen videos of people receiving their manuscript back after they've given it to the editor, and it's just filled with the red sticky notes here and there, and red highlights, and it's just I don't know if I'd be able to take that criticism.
It's funny, when throughout the whole process, that's one thing that didn't happen. I didn't get a whole lot of negative stuff to say, you got to take this out, and I kept asking, hey guys, please be honest with me. Is my story working? Is my story flowing? Am I developing my character? And is this going to be a story that's going to? And they just kept saying, "Yeah, you're doing a great job." So I'm like, I took it for that. And and me being a reader since I was a kid, I read my story so many times, and I even last week I came up with something I could have put it in the story, but it's too late now, right?
Okay.
So you know what? Just I had to accept it the way it is, and I believe I got a great story to tell, and I gave something the world, something a little different to think about, Like I said, my book's a metaphor, It's not just a werewolf, it's the beast inside us, and how are we going to handle that, So
right. I have an extra question.
Of course, that's the way.
How did it? Do you have a physical copy of your book?
Yeah, I bought a hardcover right here. There it is. So
Oh my
that's my hardcover.
goodness.
Ooh.
So, see, I got musical notes on there, and then the main thing that I wanted on my book covers, I had to have the Golden Gate Bridge on there
Of
to tell
course,
people
'cause
that's set in the Bay Area, but also because it's just a great backdrop, right? And then you have the
right.
moon, the musical notes, and then the Beast Magic turntable on there. You know, it's
Mm.
like, why does he have a
Oh,
turntable
that's
on
the
there?
turntable.
Yeah, and then my pen name on there. There you go. And then look at him. He's a happy wolf. He's having a great time, right?
He's
It could-
jamming.
that
He's
is
jamming.
totally something I could see like in a YA section while also being like a like kind of like an in between. So that was more going to be my question. Like, how did you feel when you got the book in your hands? Like to be like, oh my god,
It was beautiful. I loved it. I was proud of myself. And my wife was like, "Oh, this is beautiful." I just, I never thought I was gonna ever write a book, but that idea stuck with me, and I'm like, I was what 60 when that happened. Let me see. Yeah, I was. Oh, no, let me see. I turned 61 last. Yeah, I was 60 when that happened, and so it's like, hey, it's never too late.
yes, yes.
If something comes to you, man, just make it work.
You never know when inspiration's going to hit.
Exactly. Yep. So I'm proud. I'm proud of my work. I love to read, and I hopefully, you guys will enjoy it. That's my joy. That's my satisfaction right there.
I guess like books that influenced you in a way, like not necessarily just your book, but just in general. Like I guess some books that influenced you as a kid.
As a kid, not much. I just read a lot of different stuff. I can't remember it being stuck with anything. But my wife and I both work in healthcare, and back at what year was this? 2010. When my wife was working, I went to go pick her up, and one of the doctors, my wife had been telling the doctor that I love hard-boiled detective stories, right? So he brought her this book, Michael Connelly. Michael Connelly writes this book about his hard-boiled detective named Harry Bosch, which Amazon made a series of, right? Just called Bosch. And the main actor's name is Titus Welliver. So that's where I got my name of my guy, Titus. Plus, I also like, Shakespeare's Titus Andronicus, right? I love that name, Titus.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
you like
right?
Titus Andronicus?
I love that. They made a movie that bombed. A movie was made back in 2000. It bombed, right? Made by Julie Taymor, right? Because it's hard to see. It's hard to see the it's that old English, right? It's hard, but it's with Anthony Hopkins. And, it's really gory and bloody, right? It's a great cast, but the movie bombed, right? But that name Titus, I love that name Titus, right? So Titus Andronicus, and then Titus Welliver, the actor. And and I love hardboiled detective, and I love Harry Bosch. I read all the Harry Bosch books. So that book, when I got that book in 2010, I started reading the first few. I was hooked from the first halfway through the first chapter. I was hooked, and then from then on, I just started reading a bunch of detective novels, and then spy thrillers, adventures, and then I think perhaps that's where my imagination it grew, and that's where I came up with my character. Yeah.
No, first of all, I'm going to tell you, right, I'm a big, well, okay, I don't want to say I'm a Shakespeare fan, because I'm definitely not, like, sometimes I'm just like, oh my god, stop talking about Hamlet. But, like, first of all, I have, like, multiple ADHD thoughts. First of all, Anthony Hopkins is in every fucking Shakespeare. Any Shakespeare ending they threw him in there. Number two, I have said to people in my Uber, because I drive chauffeur like around LA, that's like my day job. So I shit you not, I will tell people, like, if somebody is like thinks that they're like so Shakespearean whatnot, and they think they know shit, they'll be like, so what's your favorite? And I'll say Titus Andronicus, and they want to jump out the car window because they think I'm crazy for liking that show, and because they're like, oh my god, she's gonna murder me. And
all Shakespeare, all his tales are all his plays are all tragic plays, right? They're murder and revenge, practically each one, right?
No, you're exactly right. I think it's just something in the Shakespearean or theater community that one in particular.
Nobody wants to do Titus Andronicus, huh?
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because like my first year of college, they did Titus Andronicus at the local like Shakespearean thing every year. Because there was one producer that was just obsessed with it was Lynn's husband. Shout out Matt Sosi. He loved Titus Andronicus, would do it every year, and I was just like, wow, you really love that show. So that just made me think of that. But yeah, the romantasy sci-fi. Did you I guess it's kind of like a B thought. It was like the A is for alibi, B is for burglar books. They were really, really big, and I don't remember. Let me A for alibi. Let me get this for you because Sue Graff.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, Sue Grafton. She writes the A to the she has catchy titles in each book. She's awesome. She's awesome.
Lisa, if you don't know, she Murder Mystery. She's one of the bigger ones in the genre, and she's awesome. She wrote it in an alphabet series, so it'd be like A, B, C, D, and it'd be like a different thing every time.
Got it.
And ladies, real quick. So the Michael Connolly, the Titus Bosch, since you're in LA, Tabitha, his whole thing because he was an LA Times reporter, so. He came up with his guy because he was on the police beat, right? So his story's set in L.A. And then there's another author that I really love that I saw in the library one time, and I just grabbed the book, and again I was hooked in the first chapter. Jonathan Kellerman, and he writes. His protagonist is a child psychologist named Alex Delaware, and he has a buddy who's gay, a cop in the L.A. department, Milo Sturgis, and he's kind of. Stay away from him because he's gay, but he's a hell of a detective, right? But those two guys, their chemistry, you know what I mean? Just great writing and just great character development and great villains, just great stuff. I could read that stuff all day long.
Oh, okay.
And Titus Andronicus.
Well, I have multiple things because it's interesting. I'm doing an internship with Penguin Random House for narrators. And part of I didn't get to tell you this, Lisa, yet, so I guess we're all figuring it out right now.
Cool.
He said, oh, I think you'd be cool to narrate like a murder mystery.
You got a great voice. You got that nice deep.
Yeah, you would do it.
You got a deep voice. You'll set every scene perfectly. Especially you'll be great at that. I don't have the voice for that. I'm a little too wheezy.
I would also beg to differ, though. Like your voice is actually so soothing and calming. Like I am just happy listening to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Maybe when I finally do my what do you call it? My audiobook. I'll give it a shot myself and see if that works. You know what I mean? Or I'll let Miss Tabitha here do my narrating.
I mean, she would make a badass woman. She would say you're Nicole.
Love to narrate the book, for sure.
Yeah. And then we'd be able to bring you back on again for your next volume.
It's funny. When a book's, you just made me think of something. When a book's written by a man, they usually get the male voice, right, to do the audio. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's crossover. If there's a book written by a woman, then the man reads it, or, a book written by a man and his perspective written by a woman. To me, it doesn't really matter as long as you resonate the feelings and what's going on and you tell the story correctly. That's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. I think the only time that it actually, I guess, matters in a sense is if it's in, if it's in first person and it's in a woman's point of view, you're obviously going to get a woman to do those. It's kind of the reverse for men as well. Like, I kind of get what you're saying, though, in a weird way. Like, most of the time, like, men do, like, if it's a male writer, there's going to be a man focusing. But if you also have it in third person, like, I guess you can have it whatever you want.
Yeah, because my story in particular is not set where he's, like, he's not narrating his life, It's just telling the story of where he's at, and then the back and forth banter between him and the people he's around. So it'd be third person. Yeah, if it's first person, you probably want to stick that. But I think most stories that I've read, it's not like what do you call it? It's not like Deadpool, right? Deadpool, he's like telling the story from the beginning to the end, right?
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Jinx. Jinx again.
Yeah. So you already kind of mentioned that you have a second volume on its way for this, and hopefully making it a series, hopefully. But what else would you say is like next for you in this journey as an author?
I mean, I love if something comes to me that it inspires me. Like I said, I love mystery thrillers and cops. If something comes to me, it's like, and that thought sticks with me, and it drives me, and then and I can't get it out of my head. then I'm gonna go with it. It's like what I've learned from this first book is that don't limit myself. You know what I mean? Don't limit myself. Some authors stick to writing certain things, and then there's a lot of great authors that write different stories because whatever comes to them, whatever inspires them, it's like, hey, they got to get it on paper. So if that ever happens to me, sure, but at least I got this, and I do want to make it a series. I want to make it past 2 books too. I want to make him, like again, I feel that he's bigger than life, and I want people to come to love Titus Wolf, the teacher and DJ, but also when he turns into a Wolfman, they can't wait until he turns into a Wolfman, because of the things that he's capable of doing. And so, you want to love somebody like that. You don't want him to die and write just, a couple of books. So hopefully, I can make maybe, 20 to 30. But one at a time.
Because like this, I could totally see this, especially like seeing the cover and just seeing it. Those kind of books remind me of those books that you have, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 books of, and it's like there's a different adventure every time, but it's also like the events of, like you have him, but you also have her as well, and they're going through different things, and I can totally
reminds
see
me of like the Goosebumps books, like the book series, like those had. Like you were saying, a different story every time. It's these same people and they're dealing with a spooky puppet, or they're dealing with a werewolf or something like that, or a vampire, or like, so they had a different issue or story each book. So I could totally see you doing like a bunch of short stories in this sort of way of like 150 pages and then just doing a shit ton of them.
Yeah, I could do that. And I think one of the things that you had mentioned earlier is like, I said it here, I believe that was something you were going to cover, right? Something like why the Bay Area, right? Why San Francisco? And it's like, I don't know anywhere else, just write what you know, right? And I don't know if either of you ladies have been to San Francisco. It's beautiful here. We have, where I sit in Marin County, a lot of rolling hills. It's gorgeous, beautiful, especially after it rains. It's just green and lush, and it's beautiful, right? And it's just a great area to write a book. But that's all I know. And I was a limousine driver, for about 6 years on the weekends. Kind of like I did Uber, I did Lyft, so you get to know a lot of places, right? And I'm an outdoors person. I love seeing landscapes. So I'm like, I told myself, where's my story going to be centered? It's like, well, where I know, And one last thing I want to say that's important, I chose the pen name of Rick London. I've never been to England, right? But most of the werewolf stories, especially American Werewolf in London and other stories, the werewolf lore actually, somebody told me that they actually comes from Macedonia and then also in Greece, so way out there, right? Yeah. But it became famous in England, right? Yeah. So I chose London as homage to England, to pay to give them thanks, so that's where I came from, London, because I was going to use like Richard Madrid, and I'm like, there's no damn werewolves in Spain. There's no werewolves in Spain or Portugal. Like, nah, get that creature out of here. You know what I mean? We got better things to think of, right? So to me, they became famous in England, so I had to give them thanks and pay my respects to them. So that's where I got London, So and I had to have a catchy name, really, right? So there you go.
I mean, I also appreciate a good pen name with a good story. Like,
that's it.
Why you're deciding to do that versus like, oh, I just came up with it. And it's like, I mean, that's cool, but I kind of like that there's a story involved.
It's my thanks to England.
The one thing I was just going to respond to the whole San Francisco thing. I mean, there's plenty of, which is like, brings us back to that whole, like, I don't know. I was thinking, honestly, Lisa, I was thinking of the Treehouse series. Magic Treehouse? Yeah.
Definitely.
I was thinking of, I don't know if you know what that is.
I think so. Yeah.
Again, it doesn't have werewolves, but it's like the sense of, it's like two friends going on adventures together. It all centers around like one area. I mean, all those cop beat shows. I mean, how do you think SVU's been going on for so long? I know. It's
New York, right? New York.
It's still
New York is huge, right? Yeah.
So it's like San Francisco. It's like there's plenty of, I don't know, I'm even giving you ideas at this point, but I was like, I don't know, Titus Goes to London one time, or like, I don't know, there's different ways to continue a series, and I think that you have a really good setup for that.
Yeah,
And I
there's
really do mean that.
there's a lot of angles I can go, right? This is just the setup. So
I will say my experience with San Francisco is I've been there twice. First time was just for a visit. My dad was on a business trip when I was younger and took me along. And we mostly stayed in the main city. But then the second time I went was I guess not a couple. It feels like a couple years ago. We started in San Francisco and drove up the Pacific coast to Oregon.
Oh, it's a beautiful drive. I'm sure you had a blast.
It really is. And so actually I can kind of picture, if you're talking about like the woods around the Bay Area, like I could definitely picture that area.
Oh, it's beautiful out here. It's beautiful out here. I haven't really traveled much, but I do know the Bay Area, and it's beautiful here. And there's a lot of people that come from the East Coast and Midwest, because they got tired of the weather there, the severe cold, and they come to the West Coast, to L.A. or San Diego. San Diego's beautiful. Mm-hmm. LA's a great place to live. It's really spread out though. But I love it. I love visiting LA. I don't know what your take on it, LA is.
Because, literally, Tabi is an Uber driver in LA. So she's been learning all of it.
I love you so much because, it literally went from, I love San Francisco, I love the Bay. San Diego is great. LA,
No, I love LA. I love LA. You know what I don't like? No, honestly, I love LA. I don't like traffic there. Oh, last time we drove through there, we went to what do you call it? Went to Legoland on the 410. No, the 405. Mm-hmm. The 405. Oh my God! Everybody's doing like 90 miles per hour, including the highway patrol, and they're not pulling anybody over. And everybody's they're all going through the double white lines, double yellow, and nobody's getting pulled over because who are they going to pull over? Everybody's doing like 90, 95. I was like, man, this place is insane, right? And so I'm like, and I love LA. LA's beautiful. It's really big. That's the thing, and you got to know where everything's at because LA is really spread out. You got to know where everything's at. So.
No, I'll say this, I really do love this city and how I've been able to, or especially the people in it, and who I've met so far. I will say driving around it has definitely made me feel more, I don't know, not crazy, or going into downtown isn't necessarily a scary thing for me, as if somebody was, I don't know, living in say, let's say Inglewood, or living somewhere that's farther away, and then they never go into the city, and then they're like, oh my God, 10 and 2, which exit do I get off of?
No, I can't do city driving at all. I've literally grown up in the Rockies of Colorado. So I've lived in the mountains, in the woods, basically my entire life. And so I was actually living with Tabi this past year, and we lived together for a year. And I could not get used to the city driving. It freaked me out.
No. I did Uber here. Yeah, and it's the same. In LA, it's like I said, there's so many parts to LA, and there's so many places to go in LA to eat and hang out. It's spread out, and
it's spread out.
Traffic is, traffic there is heavy 7 days a week there, right? Like I said, LA's a great place. They got a lot going on. Just the only drawback for me is traffic. But then again, that's practically every major city, really. You go to New York, all cities have something great about them, right? That's why a lot of people like going there. If you can deal with the traffic, then you're all good, right? That's all it is.
This means you have to make a volume about Titus coming to LA.
Traffic.
I can do that. I can do that.
Almost getting run over by a car on the 405.
Yeah. No.
Or Titus stuck in traffic.
No, take him to the Topanga Canyon, right? And to make him turn into a wolf on the full moon at Topanga Canyon, right? And have LA see him howling up at the top of the Topanga Canyon, right?
That's badass.
I can do that. And LA and, a San Francisco Wolfman in Los Angeles, heck yeah.
He could be causing chaos at the...
Take him up to, what is it, Griffith Observatory?
Yeah, Griffith.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Griffith Park is really beautiful as well. He could start in the park and end up at the observatory scaring the shit out of people.
How about taking him right at the top of the Hollywood sign, right, and just have him hop to the moon right there, right? That would be awesome.
That'd be the title. That'd be the art.
That would be a great cover. That would be a great cover. Titus in LA? Heck yeah, I can see that. Like I said, I love Los Angeles. I love any city. I just don't like the traffic. Some cities have it worse than others. That's all. That's all it is.
I know you're being totally honest. You also, like, just because I live here doesn't mean you have to be like, I love LA. Like,
no, I've gone to, I have friends there. There's so many great places to eat, and it's a great town. It's just, again, it's the traffic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tell me about it. It's 7 days a week for me.
No, I was gonna say I love Santa Monica. I love Malibu. I love going to Redondo Beach, all those places. And there's so many great movies that were filmed in L.A. It's a great town. It's a great town. Yeah, I can see myself putting Titus there. Absolutely. Why not?
Well, no, it was because of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I got something to take with me. You know what I mean? Some more.
That's good.
I just want to thank you once more for coming on, and it really does mean a lot to us to have authors reach out, and again, especially men in this romance genre. Like, yeah, do we kind of pander to a certain demographic? It just, honestly, it blows my mind that, like, even like you found us on the podcast website, just listening to even our, interview episode, like, means a hell of a lot to us.
Yeah.
So
no, I loved your episode. The one I was listening today, I was listening to the Richie Billing one this morning. I loved it. You guys were awesome. So
it just means that we're being able to reach more people, and, like, hopefully more people, more authors, more people, wonderful people like you will reach out to us and for, like, more interviews, so we can continue spreading all of this love.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I admire what you two do. Podcasting is on the upward trend, right? And it takes a lot to get established and to meet the right people, and to have a free conversation, and and enjoy each other's company. And I felt like I've clicked with you two since it started. You two were awesome. It's been an honor. It's been an honor. Honor's all mine.
Thank you.
You're gonna make me cry on this episode. I swear to God.
If you can't tell, she gets emotional quickly.
She does. No, honor's been all mine. You two are beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on and reaching out.
And you know what? And when I create my second book and my third, I'm gonna keep coming back and expanding my universe and sharing it with you and your audience, and hopefully they love the story. And if any of your audience buys my book, please go to my website, dancingwolfeman.com. That's Wolf with an E. Please leave your comments, feedback. I'll take any feedback, good or bad. It's all good, actually. So
yeah, we'll make sure to put your website in the description. You guys, you have, like, social. I think you have social.
Yeah,
media,
I'm on Facebook and X, and then my website. I'm gonna give you guys some big shout outs, because you guys are awesome. So
thank you guys all for listening today. If you want to go, we have 2 other author interviews. If you want to go look at those as well for this. I mean, honestly, we're just making this into like a mini series now. Honestly, like, just very happily. It started with one person, and then another and another. It's like it just happened on its own.
We're meeting all the authors.
There you go.
Very wonderfully. Like, so again, we will put all of Ricardo's information in the description so you guys can look at it for this wonderful book, and we'll see you guys all in the next episode. We are in season 6 we're talking about The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass. So if you want to, maybe look at those books, you can look at that one, the one we're covering. So we will see you guys all in the next episode then. So goodbye,
thank you, everybody.
Guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Touch the stars, lose yourself, who you are.